Hi guys, so today I'm going to do a little explanation of polyvagal theory, and I'm going to do it with a bit of fun. So I'll be using the game Snakes and Ladders and comedy movie characters to help describe how our nervous system works, because it can be fun learning about our nervous system. It doesn't have to be serious, and yeah, we don't have to be all traumatized. So that's why comedy movies are so wonderful and therapeutic, because they allow us to laugh at our pain and to see caricatures of the different states of our nervous system. So that's what we're going to be looking at today. So this is the autonomic ladder, and as you can see, I've used a few comedy movie characters to symbolize the different states of the nervous system. Now, keeping in mind that obviously throughout the films these characters do oscillate between the different states, it's just that they're symbolizing the state that they're in for the majority of the film. So first up we have Kristen Wiig in Dorsal. She is immobilized and collapsed for a lot of the film. She's very sad and mopey, and this can feel like depression. In Sympathetic, we have Megan from Bridesmaids, who is in fight or flight through a lot of the film. She makes me laugh a lot, and she is always on the alert. You know, she's just waiting for something bad to happen. And this is very distinctive of when we are in a sympathetic state in our nervous system. And this might feel like anxiety. And then at the very top, we have Ventral, which is Al Woods from Legally Blonde. This is when we feel safe and connected, and we're very present. Now, most people are not actually in this state very often. Mostly we have glimpses of that state when we're doing something that we love. It's a very relaxed, blissful, joyful state, which Al Woods in the movie is in that state for a lot of the time. She's very present and kind, which is more possible when we're in Ventral. Also down the right hand side of the ladder we have the blended states. So we can be at different times in a blended state, you know, a ventral and sympathetic, or a dorsal and sympathetic, or a ventral and dorsal state. And then we have the freeze state, which is quite common. This is the state where we might freeze up and not know what to say. So polyvagal theory is a wonderful way of understanding our nervous system and the way that our body stores trauma. So there are birds that have a trauma response of going into freeze and shutdown and immobilization, and they'll literally play dead. And they stay in that state until they feel like they're out of danger, and then once they're out of danger, they shake it off. They go into this shaky state. And once they've shaken it off, then they're done. That's it. Now, with our systems, what often happened is that there wasn't a safe space for us to shake off the trauma when we had felt like we were in a dangerous situation. So the body stays, the trauma stays stuck in the body, and it stays there and manifests itself in challenges in relationships and accidents, illness, all sorts of challenges in our life, until we actually feel into the energy that's stuck in the body and release it in a safe space. So I've used the metaphor, if you like, of snakes and ladders to symbolize the way that we can move up and down the ladder. We actually need to move through sympathetic to get to ventral, which is obviously the state that most of us want to be in all the time. This is when we feel loved up and we feel all joyful. used a snake because a snake can symbolize fear. And when we feel like we're in fear, it can cause us to slide down the ladder from ventral or even from sympathetic into dorsal, because we are afraid and we think that we'll be safer. These states are our body's very, very smart way of trying to protect itself. So there's never anything wrong. There's no shame in being any of these states. And yeah, the more we learn about them, the more we can regulate our own system and help our system to slide back up the ladder whenever we slide down. And the best way to do that is just to accept where we're at, be aware, and then we can take action to do activities or practices that can help us slide back up the ladder. The reason why I'm explaining this in a really fun, playful way is because fun and play actually helps us slide up the ladder or climb up the ladder. So the more fun we have with everything, the more easily our nervous system can regulate. So it's important to remember that there's not just one ladder. So we don't need to push other people off the ladder to try and climb to the top. There's no competition. We all get our own ladder. So we're responsible for climbing up our own ladder just as everyone else is responsible for climbing up theirs. So now I'm going to look at some scenes from the movies as we look through each state in more detail. So first up we have Dorsal, which is Kristen Wiig's character in Bridesmaids, Annie. Now, in this scene, she's couch bound, she's demotivated and stuck, she has very low self-worth, and she's having end of the world thoughts. These are key traits of this state. So let's have a little look at that.
I got fired from my job. I got kicked out of my apartment. I can't pay any of my bills. My car is a piece of I don't have any friends. The last
You know
time
what I find interesting about that, Annie? It's interesting to me that you have absolutely no friends. You know why it's interesting? Here's a friend standing directly in front of you trying to talk to you, and you choose to talk about the fact that you don't have any friends.
You know what I
No,
mean?
no, I don't think you want any help. I think you want.
So we can see quite clearly that she's in a very low state and that she's definitely having end of the world thoughts. So in this scene, we can see that it doesn't really matter what Megan says in the beginning. It's really hard for Kristen Wiig's character to come out of her dorsal state because she's deep down in there and she's stuck. Now, if she had the tools, if she understood her nervous system, she could do some practices and some things to help herself move up the ladder. But because she doesn't have that, in comes Megan to try and shock her out of it. So next up we have Sympathetic, which is Megan in Bridesmaids. Now, she's always on the alert, she overworks, she's impulsive, and she has fight for your life thoughts. Now, the always on the alert is very clear when she's always on the alert for an air marshal on the plane, and she is completely overworking herself, and impulsively she takes, is it 9? A lot of puppies from the engagement party. And so yeah, you can see she's bought excessively and she's just accumulating things and overworking to try and escape from the pain, you know, the trauma in her system that she hasn't dealt with. And this is the state that feels comfortable for her and that she's in most of the time. So let's see a little bit more of that.
Yeah, I think Annie wants a little pity party. Is that what you?
Ow!
You're an Annie.
My God, what are you doing?
I'm life, huh? Life bothering you?
Yes,
I'm life, Annie. I'm life, Annie.
Oh, what are you doing?
Fight,
What are you,
Megan? You better learn to fight because life will. Yeah, life is gonna. I'm life, and I'm gonna bite you in the ass. Ow! Ow! Megan, not me. I'm your life.
reason that we can tell that Megan is in sympathetic and not in ventral, apart from the things I just listed, is also because of the way that she's quite aggressive with Kristen Wiig. I mean, sometimes in ventral you can have healthy aggression for sure, but Megan is not in the healthy aggression. She's poking and prodding and, you know, it's quite violent with Kristen Wiig. She thinks that that's how she has to snap her out of it.
Stop slapping yourself. Stop slapping yourself. I'm your life, Annie. Sorry.
So what happened there with the slap is that Megan pushed and pushed and pushed Kristen Wiig's character, Annie, and eventually that did snap her out of Dorsal and she fought back. So that's brought her up into sympathetic. And as soon as that happens, then that actually brings Megan more into ventral. So she is able to open up and be more vulnerable and connected with Kristen. So let's watch her being more open and vulnerable.
Nice hit. All right. I'm glad to see you got a little bit of spark in you. I knew that Annie was in there somewhere. I think you're ready now to hear a little story about a girl named Megan. Girl named Megan that didn't have a very good time in high school. I'm referring to myself when I say Megan. It's me, Megan. And I know you look at me now and think, boy, she must have breezed through high school. Not the case, Annie. No, this was not easy going up and down the halls. Okay, they used to try to blow me up. They threw firecrackers at my head. Firecrackers. I mean, literally, I'm not saying that figuratively. I got firecrackers thrown at my head. They called me a freak. Do you think I let that break me? Think I went home to my mommy crying, oh, I don't have any friends. Oh, Megan doesn't have any friends. No, I did not. You know what I did? I pulled myself up. I studied really hard. I read every book in the library. And now I work for the government. I have the highest possible security clearance. Don't repeat that. I can't protect you. I know where all the nukes are and I know the codes. I won't say anything. You would be amazed.
Okay. So we can see that Megan, she's telling this story about how she didn't go home and cry to her mommy, but actually it sounds like maybe she did do that when she was young and her mum wasn't able to comfort her or bring her back into ventral and into safety. So what she's doing is she's repeating the way that she was brought into action, into sympathetic out of dorsal. So she's repeating that pattern by triggering Kristen Wiig. Another way that we can tell that Megan is in sympathetic and not in ventral is because she says that she doesn't associate with people who blame the world for their problems. Now, that is a clue to the idea that she feels that she needs to stay away from anyone who's in dorsal for the fear of sliding back down the ladder. So there's some fear around that, whereas someone in ventral would understand that from there they are safe to be around anybody because they are not afraid of sliding back down the ladder because they feel safe and they feel connected. Now, they may be in a situation where they're around someone who's in dorsal and it might not feel good for them and they might remove themselves from that situation, but they wouldn't do it in a way of shaming or blaming someone for being in a different state because they would feel connected and they would feel empathy and compassion for that person.
I have 6 houses. I bought an 18-wheeler a couple months ago just because I could. Okay, you lost Lillian. You got another best friend sitting right in front of you if you'd notice. Huh? Now you gotta stop feeling sorry for yourself. Okay? Because I do not associate with people that blame the world for their problems. Because you're your problem, Annie. And you're also your solution. Right? I mean, that's, you get that?
I just miss her, I guess.
Yeah, I know you do. I know you do. All right, come on. Bring it in. There's the Annie. There's the Annie I knew was there, okay? All right. And you've got to wash your hair. Sorry. You've got to wash that hair.
So what Megan's character is pointing out to Kristen Wiig's character is that she's her problem and she's also her solution. Now she's saying it in a little bit of a judgmental way, and there's some compassion in her heart too. But the truthful part of it is that we are the only ones who can move ourselves up the ladder. So we're the only person who can be our own solution. And in shaming or blaming those parts of ourselves that might be afraid to move up the ladder, which is what Megan's doing a little bit, she does it earlier more so when she says, I don't think you want help, I think you want a little pity party. And again, she actually says it in a very judgmental way that time. But there is some truth to that too. Our systems are trying to protect themselves. So if we're trying to move out of a state, it can feel very scary for the system. So it's important to create a safe space for those parts of ourselves to come up and to climb back up the ladder. So even although Megan's character does shame and blame Kristen Wiig's character a little bit, she does still manage to bring her up the ladder and her heart's in the right place. But it may not be a lasting change. And we'll see later how someone in Ventral can create a much safer space for someone to move up the ladder, which is more likely to be a very healing, lasting change for the nervous system. And finally, we have Ventral, which is Elle Woods in Legally Blonde. Now, she is more often throughout the movie calm and connected. She has healthy aggression, so she's able to stand up for herself and to speak her truth, even in really challenging situations, such as when the teacher pushes her boundaries and comes on to her. And she has really strong instincts. So she's very present and she's able to follow her inner guidance. And you can see that through all the beautiful, kind gestures that she does throughout the movie. This is one of my favorite scenes of all time, of any film, because you can see the way that Elle Woods helps Stifler's mum's character, that's what I call her, helps her stand up for herself. Now, she doesn't do it in a way that is judgmental. She doesn't do it in a way that is dependent. She stands back, she gives Stifler's mum guidance, and she stands back and she lets her do it. She lets her speak her truth. So this is actually a way that someone in Ventral can support someone that might be in Dorsal or Sympathetic to come out of that state.
Are you ready?
No.
Yes, you are. Go. You can do this.
Listen to me, dude. You shut your mouth.
Your big mouth.
I'm doing all the talking.
What the hell do you want? We're eating lunch.
Just thought that
You just
maybe I
thought.
could.
You just thought you could come here and show me what I'm definitely not missing?
That's not why I came by.
Hey, Paulette, how many times you gonna come over here begging me to take you back? Huh?
I was.
Do we nuke him?
Who's asking?
I'm Elle Woods, Miss Bonafonte's attorney.
We can see so clearly here that Stifler's mum is in freeze because of the way that she's not responding to her ex, in the same way that Kristen Wiig's character was with Megan when she wasn't fighting back. So someone or something is coming at her in an aggressive way, and her nervous system's response to that is to go into freeze. So let's have a look at how she comes out of it.
Who's asking?
I'm Elle Woods, Miss Bonafonte's attorney. And I'm here to discuss the legal situation at hand.
Come again?
Do you understand what subject matter jurisdiction is?
No.
I didn't think so. Well, due to habeas corpus, you and Miss Bonafonte had a common law marriage, which heretofore entitles her to what is legally referred to as equitable division of the assets.
Come again?
Due to the fact that you've retained this residence, Miss Bonafonte is entitled to full canine property ownership, and we'll be enforcing said ownership right now.
Huh?
Tell him, Paulette.
I'm taking the dog. Dumbass.
Oh my gosh, did you see him? He's probably still scratching his head.
Yeah, which must be a nice vacation for his balls.
Oh.
Thank you.
The reason why these states are so beautiful to understand is because we can see how we can't just label people as good or bad and this person's like this or this person's like that. There are just different states of our nervous system, and everyone can be loving and connected and kind, and everyone can be angry and mean and frustrated. It just depends where our nervous system is at and what's going on for people. So in understanding our own states and having compassion and love for ourselves for the different states, then we're able to feel that way for other people as well. And when we are able to understand that, then that actually helps us climb up the ladder as well, because we're not seeing other people as a threat, or we're not seeing other people as bad. We don't have shame or guilt on ourselves for behaving badly. We just understand that our behavior is a result of the state that our nervous system is in. And yeah, when we can do that, then we can forgive ourselves, and forgiveness helps us climb straight up that ladder really fast. So yeah, that's why I found this explanation of polyvagal really, really helpful. So that's just a little explanation of polyvagal theory and our nervous system. If you have any questions, I would love to answer them. I hope this has been helpful for you to understand your system so that you can feel good more often.
Just open your heart and your mind. Is it really fair to feel this way inside? Oh.